Hey, good morning, everybody. So this is going to be the watch list for Monday, October 21st. So let's go ahead and start with the news for next week and see what's on the economic calendar, which you know we always want to do. So on Monday, not too much is going on, just some overall Fed speakers. So nothing really to be concerned about there. Really nothing on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have existing home sales, so you'll want to be cognizant of that. But then more importantly, it's going to come down to Thursday and Friday. So Thursday, we have initial jobless claims. We have the PMI for coming out at 9:45 a.m. Eastern. So that'll be 15 minutes into the market open. And then again, the good old new home sales. And then on Friday, we'll get consumer sentiment. Now, you're going to definitely see more and more volatility as we pick up between now and the election. So what I want to do is take a look at where we at on the charts with SPY, QQQ, and then I'll take a look at a couple of individual names. But you will note here on SPY that we are having a real hard time breaking above this 584.72 level and holding. So for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, they'll break above it, wick, and then push down. Break above, push down. Same here, here, as well as in the overnight hours. So if you're going to go long on SPY, what you're going to have to do is wait until you can really see that this 584.72 level is going to hold. Now, obviously, in the after hours, there's not much to look at. But during Friday's trading session, you could see that we pushed all the way up into this 585.30, 530, 585.40 range, and then sold it right back off and then keep pushing up. So this 584.72, 585 level is going to be very important if the market decides to make a run for 600 into the end of the year. So I think you're definitely going to have to find some patience and let the market settle for the first maybe 15 minutes on the open, because you'll note that what's been happening here is the market is moving up in the pre-hours, and then it's selling off, and then it's been moving back higher, back to this overall target level. And you can see it. It's done that for the last several days. The market pushes up, sells off in the morning, keeps going lower, and then it comes back to this level. It's acting as a magnet. So just do note that this is probably going to be one of your heavy magnets to the upside. Now, where is it to the downside? Well, let's go back to the 4-hour chart, and I'm going to just expand this if I could. And I apologize because I'm working on a laptop while I'm traveling this week. But to the low end, where I would watch for a potential bounce is going to be down here at 582. Now, will we push all the way down to there? Possibly. And then if we flush this 582 level, then I'd be, again, going back and looking for 580. So these are going to be the targets that I would be watching along the way that have a lot of strength, where the market pushed down and then it moved right back up. So you can see that. So keep these as your overall levels on SPY. Now, QQQ, we have quite a few more levels. And the reason for that is we are not trading at all-time highs. So it's easier to see where we are trading between these channels on a daily basis. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let you know that what I'd be watching here is this 484.20, which it was resistance, resistance, resistance. They used it as support, but then they flushed it right back down to the base of this 490.96. And then they push it back up, back down, back up. We're now above it. So if you want to go long, if the market has some momentum, we need to hold 494.20. And then I would target this 498. If we start to flush this to the downside, my first target would be 490.96, which is where we bounced it, bounced it, bounced it. And then if we decide to push lower, then 489. But if we break below the 489, then I'd go down to 483. A couple other ones that I'm watching is PayPal. So PayPal has some earnings coming up, and this has had some really good overall relative strength. You'll see that we kind of have a rounding bottom, and we're now starting to come back up. Now, this is on a daily. So when you're moving back up on the daily, you'll note that we do have a lot of gaps on this stock that yet still have to be filled. So let me just go ahead and show you that we have one right here to the upside. And this is going to be a gap that is still left open, unfilled from back in February of last year. I mean, this thing's been just horrendous to the downside. Now, we also have another minor gap, if you will, right below us that is open. Now, they do have earnings coming up, but looking at the relative strength that this has had, my bias is going to be to the upside, right? We're in a very strong bull market, and they're just literally buying up everything. So what would I want to watch for on this? Well, ideally, I'd like to get a pullback to the top of the gap fill before I would go long, but I don't know that the market is going to give that to you this week. You'll also note that we have another small little gap right here. There we go, right here. So this one was created from just this past week. Get this dialed in a little bit better. There we go, right here. Okay. So remember, we only look for gap fills on the daily. That's where we're watching them above all else. So what I would love to see is us come back down to the top of the gap fill right here in order to play calls to go long. And then if this gap fills, I mean, the room to the upside is monumental. So let's look at this on a weekly basis. I mean, this stock was trading at like all-time highs, I think at over $280 a share. I mean, look at that. I was wrong. 308. I mean, how crazy is that? Now, are we going back up to 308? No, not anytime soon. I mean, this was just crazy mania back in 2021. But look at the sheer sell-off of this as to where it moved down to and where we're trading. So we're starting to find some stability. I definitely think that, we could have some upside targets. I think Citibank has already increased their rating on this to a price target of 90 some dollars a share. So there's definitely room. But when you look on a weekly basis, it's been building some strength back to the upside. So that's one that I would definitely keep a watch on. The next one, if the war in Gaza and Israel start to come to a resolution, I would be watching for weakness in the oil names. So oil spiked on increasing escalations with Iran. If things start to calm down there, you'll note that ExxonMobil is back to this channel right here. So this is a weekly range that you could see we've been trading in. And then if we go down to a daily basis, you can see that we're starting to fall back into the channel. If oil starts to come down in overall price, I do like this for a short back down to 108.18. I think there's some room there. Can it go back higher? Possibly. But if you look, we're kind of starting to round out and make some lower lows. So this was a low, high. We had a higher low, but now we have a lower high. And now we're starting to come down. So what I would look for this to do is to break below, come up and retest, and then head lower. Okay, so that's how I would like to think of that one. The banks have had tremendous strength. I think Citibank, and this is one that I've been trading actively really throughout the entire year, where you could see my prior price targets. They announced earnings and earnings beat. What they didn't like was that they are reserving more for loan losses down the road. So if Citi could get back above this 63.17, I definitely think going into the end of the year, a good price target is back up here at 66.03 for some momentum. Now, if the banks sell off, then definitely I think Citibank would be a good short back down here to $58. But you'll note that it sold off on earnings. So this was the earnings event this week, came down, right? Right here was earnings. It was at this prior pivot, sold off hard. We moved back higher, and now we're selling right back to this level. So an area that I keep an eye on is between this 62, 64, and 63. If it holds and gets momentum, I'd go to the upside. So that's kind of what I'm watching this week, but be patient, give it some time, and we will all talk soon. Take care.